Hi, everybody. Oh my goodness. So another fabulous day. I had a great post. I was out walking today, which is always very therapeutic. That's on my list for this weekend. Also very, very therapeutic time. If ever you're stuck and you need a boost, one of my go-to ways is, go in nature. Even if you're not a huge nature buff, there's just something very calming and pleasing that gets your vibe right, creativity going, just taking a break and walking through nature. So I had this wonderful long walk today along the Greenway, and oh, you guys, okay, we had to deal with a hurricane or two, but oh my god, it's that first day where actually you get that little glimmer of fall, just like fall. You can feel in the corner. It's like, hey, I'm coming. I'm a real thing. I'm on the way. So today was that day. It's like, oh, the sun was shining. There was no clouds. It was coolish. Oh, I was like, yay, almost fall. Fall is my favorite. Everything wonderful happens in the fall. So don't come at me with your, but winter's so great and summer's so... I don't want to hear it. I mean, all the seasons have their positives and negatives, but whatever. Fall is it for me. Yes, it might have to do with the fact that my birthday is in the fall and Thanksgiving's in the fall and Halloween's in the fall. Things I love. So, but whatever. Fall's the best. And I was thinking of topics to talk about, and I had one that was really, really going to talk about. And then when I sat and I did my meditation work and just, my mindset work, I had another one come up. So I'm going to save those other topics. Maybe I'll do them later tonight because I like to do 2 a day. So today's topic is a side effect of mindset work. And I just recently discovered it. It should have been evident to me before, but whatever. Sometimes we take a while to get the messages we hear. And if you are going through something that feels like the same situation over and over and over again, if you hear yourself saying like, oh, this always happens to me, it's like, why is this always happening? If you're in those situations, the reason it's always happening is because you haven't learned the lesson yet. So if you have any situations in your life where you feel like you're in a repeat cycle, like didn't this just happen to me with a different set of characters recently? That is a sign that you need to dig deep into it and pull it apart, because there's something in that situation that you have not fully learned from yet. And what's beautiful, remember, half glass full, what is beautiful is that you will keep being offered the lesson over and over and over again until you actually get it and shift, and then you won't have to deal with that lesson anymore. It's like the best kind of school, sort of. You just keep repeating the course, but you can repeat it as often as you need to, over and over. And when you get the lesson, so the fastest way to stop stuff from happening is be willing to dissect it, absorb it, look for the lesson as soon as possible, so then you can get on with not doing it again and again. You won't have to repeat it forever and ever. So something in my life that happens a bit, and it was triggered by email discussion in a relationship, all these other things. For those that have known me for a while, I haven't been a shy girl in quite some time. I made that decision years ago. I was like, I'm not going to be shy anymore. But I haven't been in that zone for a while. So I tend to be very confrontational. I tend to, not necessarily in a like, screw you type of way, but being able to stand up for myself and saying my piece, and also standing up for other people. And these are things that people know about me. And if you push me to my edge, I will tell you off. So it's like I accept all of my emotions, including my rage and my joy, in the same boat. That said, surprisingly, I tend to find myself in lots of relationships of various kinds, so not just romantic relationships, with very toxic people. Just so many people have known me for years and years are now saying like, yeah. People that haven't known me, they're like, really? I didn't know that. So I'm not calling any particular person out. I'm sure they know who they are, but if they're toxic, they're not paying attention anyway, so they don't think it's them. Because that's toxic people never think it's them. But I am notorious for attracting so many toxic people all the time. It used to be, when I was still in corporate America, it used to be a running gag. If you want to know where like the worst people to work with are, like the craziest, worst people to work with, just look up in the org chart where Aisha is and whoever's sitting right next to her is it. Because seriously, people from that usually most people would get away from as fast as possible would find themselves next to me, and I would be in the middle of just the worst, most toxic work situations ever. So it's not just romantic, just its own chapter, but it's everywhere. And for years, I had no idea I was doing this, or even that I was with toxic people. I just know I felt bad all the time. Because I blamed myself for everything. It was always my fault because, I'm big on take responsibility and you can change your life and you're in control. And these are all true statements. So when situations were happening and I was being manipulated, or I don't want to say I was experiencing manipulation, I was experiencing a toxic relationship, I was experiencing these feelings of worthlessness and confusion and dealing with gaslighting and just all, if you name the tactic that a toxic person has used, I have experienced it. And since I didn't know what was going on, I always assumed it was something I was doing. Well, it was, but not in the way I was thinking. So if someone was gaslighting me and telling me, like, no, you imagine it, it wasn't like that. If you don't know what gaslighting is, you have to look it up because it's a whole huge topic of discussion. If you want me to talk about it in another video, I'm happy to do that. But there is plenty of information out there because you might be victim to it yourself. But if it's gaslighting, if it's changing tactics, if it's calling names, you name it, I have been through it. And I took every single attack to heart and accepted it as it was my fault. That was 100% my fault. And yeah, in a way, but not the way that I was thinking. So that would make me work harder to try to please that person, to try to make that person happy, to try to smooth things over, to try to make it okay, and to try to get them to like me, to try to be the little positive sunshine and make it okay. These are all really positive traits. I have positive traits, you have positive traits. Taken in the wrong way, these positive traits can be manipulated for bad things. So it's lovely that I wanted to make people happy and smooth things over, but what I didn't know back then is I can't make anybody happy. That's not something that I can do. You can be a positive influence, but ultimately they have to generate their own happiness. They have to choose what to do, and they have to make those efforts. Trying to smooth over problems that other people have, well, that's not my place to smooth that over. It's not my job to fix other people's problems. Like, they have to take action for themselves, do the things that need to be done. If they need my advice, I can offer advice, but ultimately they may or may not take that advice. That's up to me. Not to mention, sometimes I don't even need to give advice. So if someone's constantly like, but what should I do? But what should I do? But what should I do? What should I do? Well, I mean, at what point does that turn into, I have knowledge and I'm giving advice, to codependency, where literally that person is not even attempting to think for themselves and decide what to do to move the course of their life, and they're putting all the energy and blame and responsibility on you. That's codependency. And if you accept it, then you're joining into that type of relationship. Over and over and over and over and over. It's mind-boggling how many over the years that I have been through it. I can look back now and be like, oh, man, yeah, that's what was going on. And I had no idea. What that causes a lot of people pleasing, true, a lot of confusion, and just a lot of feeling from my end of feeling as though I am obviously doing something wrong. There's something very wrong with me, because I was believing all these messages I was hearing, that I need other people to be around, and that my job was to fix and heal and take care of everybody else. And then once I did that, then I can get around to my own stuff, kind of like the Cinderella complex. So focusing so much on other people and on their time and their problems and their situations over and over and over, and convincing myself that once I get them on track, then I can focus on my own work. The challenge is, if you are constantly attracting toxic people, you're never going to get around to your own work. Oh, hey Trisha, how are you? You're never going to get around to your own work because their needs are never ending. And half the time, I shouldn't say half the time, all the time, they should be taking responsibility for their own path in life, but for different reasons they're choosing not to, and they're trying to make other people responsible for that. So how does this relate to mindset? The more mindset work I started to do, and it really started very simply, like I started meditating. That was it. Like that was my very beginning stages of mindset work, because I had read that meditation was a really great way to release stress, and I, as you can imagine, having to deal with all this toxic negativity in my life, I was at my wit's end about my whole life. I was like, I don't even know what to do. I'm about to implode. I kind of did implode. It was good. Sort of. I'll put it in a book. It was a hot mess. But it was funny. It's a fun story, but it was a hot mess. But I started by just meditating to get just grounded. Just for grounding, not even for like higher level signs, not even for developing my intuition. No, I just meditated just to create some footing for myself and to ground myself. I started using healing stones and thank you. I'm trying. I no more imploding. Trisha remembers that the story of imploding. Oh my gosh, I was such a hot mess. It's a fun story. I'll put it in a book. But the grounding myself, finding my way, finding my footing. I worked with other healing stones, and I worked with affirmations. I worked with all sorts of things just to ease into it. That's all I wanted, was grounding. And I kept building from there and kept building from there. I started journaling. I started going to traditional therapy on my own. Started talking, but not just my regular amount, talking like really talking about how I was feeling, recognizing how I was feeling. I was good at recognizing how I was feeling for stage work and for creating a character, but when it came to day, just to recognize how often I was feeling sad, how often I was feeling angry and rageful. And I would feel it and never really dig deep into why am I feeling it? What is causing that feeling? The feeling is perfectly natural. I was convinced myself, because I was around toxic people, that my feelings were not natural, that they were bad and I needed to get them, in check and stuff them away, instead of saying, well, what triggered it? Like what is causing my feeling this way? So that's how I started. And that was years and years ago. So the work has built up to the point now I understand that, like, oh, snap. Like that's mindset, that I actually can control things in my life and opportunities, and attract things to me based on the energy I'm putting out there. So if I'm putting out into the world that I'm just like lost, I am not grounded, if I'm putting out that I'm just all happiness, all joy, all the time with no boundaries, I will attract people like moths to a flame that are looking for light, joy, happiness, positivity from a never-ending well that they don't have to take responsibility for bringing into their own lives. They were perfectly happy sucking it from mine. That's where the hard part comes in. So in terms of mindset, I was attracting those people. So yeah, it was my fault, but not because being joyful and being light and being uplifting, none of these are bad traits. And for a while I thought that's what it was, that I had to stop being happy. In fact, I would have other toxic people and saying, well, you just need to stop being happy all the time. Oh gosh, I remember someone told me that at an office, and that I almost laughed. I'm like, are you for real? She's like, well, maybe if you stopped being so happy all the time. Like, my joy pissed her off. Like, my joy just pissed her off so bad. But that's part of being a toxic person too. When you see someone who is light in spirit and happy and joyful and compassionate, like all these awesome traits, but you can't find a way, or you refuse to find a way to bring that through yourself internally and pulling that out of yourself, because anyone can, but if you just refuse or can't or struggle with that, and you see someone else who it just comes naturally, you're like, screw you. You want to kick their ass all the time. I do like to curse, but I've been trying not to on my live streams, but I might let a couple fly because it's a funny topic. Sorry, I had to plug in my phone is mad at me. It's yelling at me. It's saying, plug me in, juice me up. So yeah, I was causing this, but not because being joyful is bad. It's all about being joyful and not knowing that I had a right to say no, like not understanding that I could have a boundary, not recognizing when someone was taking advantage and trying to run through my sources and my resources. So that the more mindset work I got to, it really became clear. I'm like, oh, that's what's happening. And realizing I am attracting this and digging into why. So that is a fun positive. The more you work on your mindset, the more you accept that you can generate opportunities, you can be aware, and all the activities that you do around freeing your mindset, you might start off doing it for creative purposes, like to feel more comfortable putting yourself out there, making it work for your business, not being afraid to take chances. You might start doing mindset work because of one thing, but the wonderful thing, it's energy, and energy flows where it flows. So once you start freeing up that channel, once you start really, really delving into and paying attention to your mindset and what you're putting out in the world and what you're attracting to you, the more that you do that, it will change and affect every aspect of your life, even places that you didn't even know needed shifting. I had no idea that it was my energy and my mindset that was attracting people to me. I had no idea. And then when I discovered that concept, then it turned into, oh, well, I guess I just have to hide and like be sad all the time and be miserable, so then they're not attracted to me. Which also didn't make sense to me. Like, that doesn't make sense. So when I got into mindset work and I realized, oh, wait, I can recognize this a lot faster, because the reality is, if you have something and something really good, and there is a person out there who doesn't have it and doesn't know how to get it and doesn't want to work, doesn't want to do it, doesn't want to go through whatever they need to. Maybe they were traumatized. Maybe their lessons growing up. Maybe they have behavioral issues. Whatever. For whatever reason, they can't get there right now. But you come across as light, happy, airy, friendly, all these wonderful, wonderful traits that either they'll learn from you and take it on themselves, but probably not. Because if they're already toxic, they'll just find a way to try to take it from you. Because they don't know how to do it on their own, and they're not interested in learning. Another trick is, don't assume everybody else is on the same high-level mindset work that you are. That was another big thing. Which is for my business too. Like, when I assumed, I'm like, well, everybody knows this, and everyone's going to act like this. Everyone's going to be well behaved. Everyone's going to work on their own positivity. Of course, why wouldn't everyone do this? Why wouldn't they? And the answer is no, not everyone does it. Not everyone wants to do it. Not everyone is interested in facing their challenges. Not everyone is really interested in doing the deep, dark work to like get down deep in looking at the parts of themselves that bring them shame and anger and frustration, and they don't want to look at it. So they're not going to do the work to get themselves to a higher vibration. And part of my challenge was thinking that everyone was doing the same work, and they weren't. So I would kind of approach each person with a just innocent proven guilty. Like I just take them at their word that they were also on the same level as me in terms of like vibrations, and finding and wanting to get deeper with their mindset work. So don't make that same mistake. Don't assume that everyone's on the same tip. So why is this important for your mindset work? If you're not doing it, if you're just watching my videos, you're just interested a little bit, it seems kind of cool, but you're not. Start today. Start today. Start small. Start with just a few minutes. But start today to pay attention to the messages that you're giving to yourself. Start paying attention to what is going on in here, to what is going on in here and what is going on in here. Start paying attention to how situations are making you feel. Not necessarily bad situations, because, being in a car accident go day to day, just from minute to minute, just randomly as you do a quiet meditation, or working meditation. If you're washing dishes or taking a shower, take a moment to check in with yourself and calm your mind. If you're walking outside, take a moment to check in with yourself and be like, how am I feeling right now? And do I feel any pain in my body? How do I feel energetically? Where do I feel tension? Just checking in with yourself multiple times a day. You can't overdo it. I guess you can. I don't want to say that. Because my imagination, because I'm an artist, my imagination runs wild. I'm like, I guess if you literally won't move and you sit in a chair all day like a slug or a rock, then that would be overdoing it. Highly unlikely. Highly unlikely. So just check in with yourself. Check in with yourself and see how you're feeling, because then you're going to start to collect data about how your body reacts to certain situations, because your body is always giving you those clues. Your sympathetic symptom, what is it? Not psychosympathetic symptom. Gosh, why can't I remember words today? I'm probably hungry. I haven't eaten dinner yet. But it's going to give you those cues. You're going to start to feel a little sweaty. You're going to start to feel a little bit of anxiety. And you're not going to know why. Most of the times we either gloss over it or we don't even think about why we're feeling that way. Start paying attention to it. You start paying attention to it by getting quiet and calming yourself down and just randomly focusing on it. Do it for everything, not just for the high stakes situations. Do it for everything. So then you can start creating a library for yourself of, this is how I react to these situations. Over time, and the more you do it, the faster you get there. Over time, you can start to recognize the warning signals that you're putting out very quickly. Because you'll be cruising along. This is what it looks like. You'll be cruising along, doing your mindset work, and you're feeling it. You're like, yes, I'm gonna be amazing, and you are imagining your future side. You're bypassing those blocks and you're tapping on them, and everything's clearing right. And then you come across a person and you're thinking, yes, this person's gonna help me. Yeah, this person's great. Or they just randomly fall into your lap, and where you run into them and you're like, this is the opportunity I was talking about. And they're saying such great things. They're saying wonderful things. But then you start to get a nagging feeling in the back of your head. Maybe that's where the anxiety happens for you. Just get that nagging feeling. Now, if you weren't doing your work all along, you would assume that that toxic person is the opportunity that you have drawn to yourself. And you'll go along with them and whatever they say, like, great. And next thing you know, you're being pulled into a very toxic, awful situation. Well, that person is there for you. It is the opportunity for you, but not the opportunity you're thinking. It is the opportunity to Pay attention to how you're feeling. It is the opportunity to refine your mindset work. It is the opportunity to create boundaries for yourself and honor and value yourself, which is what mindset consists a lot of. That is the opportunity they're presenting, not the opportunity to move your work forward, not the opportunity to spend all your time pleasing them. But that's what oftentimes artists and other people, we think that's what it is. We think that every opportunity that comes to us is for the one thing that we've been thinking of. It might be an opportunity that you need to get past to get those wonderful, wonderful things. So the more you can pay attention to those little signs and nagging feelings and not ignore them, the faster you will reap the benefits. So in that situation I was talking about, person comes in, you were asking for an opportunity, and this person comes in and they're saying all the right things, and you're like, yes, this is it. Then something happens. Maybe it's a small something happens, but it just gives you pause. It just gives you a slight pause. I guarantee it will always happen. You might not pay attention to it, but it always happens. So don't ignore it. I'm not saying you need to blow everything up, but put yourself on watch. And from then on out, remember to maintain your boundaries. Like I said, doesn't mean you blow up the relationship right away. Unless it's giving you really bad vibes, then it's okay. But if it's just like a moment's pause, don't ignore it. Just pay attention. And if you start to find yourself losing yourself in that person, doing a lot more for that person and it's not getting reciprocated, spending all of your time on their dreams and their hopes, putting all of your focus on making them happy, on getting them what they need, listening to them for hours and hours and hours about their problems and their time, listening to them knock you and discourage you about what you're doing and say, sure you want to do that? Is that really the way you want to go? When you tell them your big dreams, well, guess what? You just got lured into another toxic relationship. But this time, you're going to see the signs. And how you get the signs is you set up those boundaries for yourself. If someone's giving hours and hours and hours on end about negative talk, you can shut it down and be like, you know what? I'm good. I got to go. You are not under obligation to maintain that. How you get out of it, you can do it any way you want. You can nip it in the bud right away. Just be like, you know what? If you're doing something that you're doing for your business and you've set up the time to do, and someone tries to encroach on your time, you can say no. Like, you know what? We can hang out later. We can get together later, but I'm doing this now. If you're in a relationship with someone and the first time they start complaining and freaking out and telling you that you're awful and they're going to break up with you and they're dump you, you know what? You're not under any obligation to chase them. You shouldn't be chasing anybody, relationship-wise. Nobody should have to chase anybody. So, don't. Just let it go. Don't chase. So the more you set up those boundaries up front, and not in a rude way, just like, I got stuff to do, the more practice you have in recognizing when a toxic relationship is rearing your head. And setting up boundaries doesn't automatically have to be for toxic people either. If you want to start small, if you're really nervous about this, start with people that aren't toxic. They're just really close to you. And maybe they take up a lot of time, or maybe they're taking up a lot of whatever you're doing. It's okay to tell people that you love, I love you, we're going to do this, here's what we're going to do, right now I'm going to do this thing. Set up boundaries with people that you have healthy relationship with, just to see how it feels. I have friends that I am so blessed. I was thinking that this weekend, actually. I was going to do another live stream. I hung out with some buddies. Our friend was visiting from London, and I miss them so much. They're probably watching. I miss you guys. And I was just looking around, and we were telling all stories, and I thought of the folks there. I thought of other people that I've been blessed to know in my life. I mean, I'm still friends with people from high school, from like high school theater. And I mean, I've had friends I've been friends with since like kindergarten or maybe first grade. I actually do have some kindergarten friends. But I have friends for all parts of my life, and I'm so blessed that I have such wonderful, healthy friendships. So I do have healthy, non-toxic relationships in my life, and I look to them, and I'm so thankful for them. That said, I've also attracted the same things that attracted those friendships also attract the toxic people. The problem was the boundaries were not there. Because if I put up boundaries with my healthy friendships, they're like, cool, we'll see you soon. And like it does not cause disruption. It really doesn't. Like, in fact, sometimes they're telling me, like, you need to take a nap. Like, you need to go do your thing. Your healthy friendships are cheering for you and rooting for you and want you to be successful. So, yeah, I have plenty of people in my life that are, like, totally on board and loving that I'm doing this, loving that I'm putting myself out there, loving seeing me post positive things. They're like, woohoo, and I cheer them the same. So that's what a healthy relationship. So put up your boundaries with your healthy relationships too, just to start practicing if you're not sure. But eventually you're not just allowed, you are obligated to protect, preserve, and strengthen your live stream. So you're meant to preserve that and use it for whichever way you want. It's yours. So use it. It's you need to, you must. So that is another, it's just a fun little side effect of getting your mindset on point. So not only can it attract all the right opportunities, it can start to help you recognize and avoid and dispel and move past toxic relationships. Yeah, because now, and there are times now with people that I've had in my life for a long, long time, and I'm starting to recognize patterns that I didn't see before, and it turns into aha moments of like, oh, that's why I was feeling this way. Okay, now I see what's going on, which is making it a lot easier to deal with certain email communications that I get back and forth, and I can just say, no, I'm not doing that. No, I'm not comfortable with that. Yes, I'll do this, but I'm not going to do that. And I will be dead honest. At first, it really stressed me out because I was like, am I just surrounded by awful people? Is there no one good? Am I doomed to be around awful people? So that was my first, like I said, I won't lie, that was my very first thought process, because I was still realizing what the mindset was doing and how I was able to observe. And now I'm a lot better. It's like, I don't have to hide, and I don't have to, stop trying to have relationship with people and connection with people, but I do need to uphold, maintain, and value what I'm doing and my mindset and my energy and my vibration and my boundaries. That is key. And if I do that, then I'll be fine. And I will attract more healthy people. I'm not going to stop attracting toxic people, neither will you. Because moths aren't going to stop coming to a flame. If people see light, they're going to be drawn to light. You can minimize it, though, by recognizing it very quickly and shutting it down and be like, nah, I don't need to spend my time there, or I'm going to limit time there. But codependency, putting someone who is supposed to be cheering for you, but on the back end, talking about you on the back end, I'm like, oh, are you sure you want to do that? I don't know. It doesn't. Just beware, because you're going to run into them. Now I take it, hey, you know what, half glass full. It's kind of like what I talked about before. It's kind of like what I talked about before about rejection is actually a blessing, because it moves you along. It shows you where you're not supposed to be, so you can start going towards the thing you should. Same with this. If you are attracting toxic people, that means that you've got light. You're vibrating pretty high, because they're gonna want to be with other high they're not other, because they're not. They're gonna want to be with someone who is vibrating at a high frequency, so they can try to latch onto it. So hey, if I'm attracting lots of toxic people, well, it means that I'm vibrating high, but it also means that I need to maintain and value that myself very stronger. Because if they're busting through, it's fine if you want to knock at the gate, but I don't need to let everybody in. So that's very important. So yeah, get on that mindset work. if you don't know how, that is why you're on this page. So you're on this page for a reason. Also, please let me help you and be of service to you. Go take some of my products. Go to my online school. There are products out there. I'm putting new products every day. All right, that's a lie. Not every day, often. Because I'm probably not going to do it. It takes I put a lot of time and care into all of my video products and classes. So it's not something I just like whip out and throw on there. I put a lot of effort into it. So I do put new ones out often, just to make sure that I'm covering topics. If there's topics you want to hear about, I had some people tell me that they would really like to get some sort of information about using mindset to work through creative blocks. I said, yes, that is a good one. That is a really good one. When you are making your living on your creativity, if you're a creative entrepreneur and you run into a block, writer's block, artist block, acting block, whatever, you just can't come up with anything. It used to be mildly annoying, but if your money is tied to it now, it's really stressful. So I want to put it together a course, how I overcome that step by step. So that's one thing, but so yeah, if you guys like this and if you'd be interested in me talking more about mindset and toxic relationships and how you can utilize that same mindset that brings opportunities to help avoid and recognize toxic people, drop me a line below. And just so I know, because I want to make sure I'm giving you value. Anyone who's on my page, I'm so thankful. And I mean, as fun as I am, I want to give value. I'm here so I can share knowledge so you can move forward in your creative pursuits and your creative entrepreneurism. So that's really important. It's super important to me. Okay, that was my siege. I am starving, you guys. I am starving, and I have so much to do. I have to clean my house. Oh my god, my house. I hate cleaning, but it's good. It's good. Because it frees up my energy. It gets the flow going. So I'm going to clean, and I have to work on my lines. I have a show coming up, and I'm determined. I'm going to get those lines down so I can really get into like some good work. And I'm waiting to hear about an acting job. So fingers crossed that everything works out with that. So all right, first things first. I'm going to go get some food to eat. Have a wonderful evening. And keep your mindset going. If you have not done mindset work today, this does not count. This is to learn, but you have to actually do your work. So go meditate, go do some tapping and heal some stuff. And I will probably be back on later tonight with another topic. Until then, I will see you all soon. Bye.